Welcome to Garden Delights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about strawberries. We're going to hear from Frank Hancock, and he's going to talk just a little bit more about those strawberries. So we come back on Garden Delights, we're going to talk more about those strawberries. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. We're talking about strawberries today, and I actually love strawberries, and this time of year, you can't beat them. So let's talk about these wonderful fruit that has about, you think about a strawberry, it doesn't have a seed inside, so it has about, I guess if you really wanted to count it, about 200 seeds on the outside of it, which is a neat little fruit there. And it's so tasty. And it's wonderful as far as the nutrition goes. It's loaded with vitamin C. It's even more than the orange that you can eat. So make sure you're eating those strawberries when they're in season, because you're going to get a lot of good vitamin C from them. But they're not just as good as the vitamin C. They're also good in saturated fat, as far as they're 0. So that's a good thing. And as far as sodium, it's 0. And cholesterol is 0. So, just thinking about this right now, I'm telling you it's loaded with vitamin C. So then we're going to think about, okay, what else? So it has a lot of good fiber to it too. So eat some strawberries if you're looking for fiber also. Think about that. And it has a lot of good nutrients and other vitamins in it too. But you want to think about strawberries too, and about a cup of strawberries, that's about 8 medium strawberries. That's going to be about 50 calories. So as you can see, they're also low in calories. Now, let's talk about selection. Let's say that you're growing your own, and if you are, you make sure you're picking them when they're ripe and they're ready and they're not going too far, because you want to make sure you're keeping those strawberries fresh. You're also going to look at the green part of it if you're buying at the grocery store also. And you want to make sure that they're green, they're intact, they look fresh. You want the strawberry to look really nice and red and shiny, firm. That's what you're looking for. And when I buy my strawberries at the grocery store, they're usually in those containers. And I always flip them upside down and look at the underneath part, because that tells me too if the strawberries are good all the way through that package. And so make sure you're doing that when you're selecting your strawberries. But make sure they're shiny and firm. And then also make sure that green part is nice and green, fresh looking. And because that's going to tell you too that the strawberry is very fresh, and you want to make sure it's intact, because when strawberry has a lot of water in it, and you don't want anything to get inside the strawberry once you get ready to eat it, because we're going to have to wash these strawberries. As far as selection goes, that's just looking at them at the grocery store, and then also at your garden that you're growing them in. And maybe you're growing them this summer, and hopefully you are, because they're a wonderful fruit to just go out and pick. Of course, we want to wash them before we eat them. Now, storage, they don't stay too long in our refrigerator, so have something in mind once you pick them. They'll stay in your refrigerator on average 1 to 3 days. So I will tell you this, once you get strawberries, make sure you lay them out in layers, because they will stay longer. If they are packed on top of each other, they're going to bruise the other ones that are below, and you're going to have them where they don't stay as fresh as long. So think about that. Think about how you can take them, especially if you go to a pick your own place and you have a big bucket. Just remember, the ones at the bottom could be getting to where they are bruised. So make sure you take them back home, put them in the refrigerator, layer them out, maybe put some paper towels between the layers, but layer them out, because they will stay fresher that way. So that's going to be your storage part as far as keeping those strawberries as fresh as you can for 3 days. And if you don't know what you're going to do in 3 days, the best bet is to freeze them. They freeze great. Also, before you eat them, you need to wash them, but don't wash them until you get ready to eat them, because you want to make sure that when you're washing them, you want to keep this cap on and then take it off, because we don't want water to get down in through those strawberries, because it can take away the texture and the flavor of those strawberries. So keep that in mind. But they freeze wonderful. Of course, you'll take your cap off and you can freeze them. You'll wash them and you freeze them, but I will tell you the best way to freeze them. Make sure you put them on a cookie sheet. Freeze them just a little bit, and then take them and put them into your bags. And if you know what you're going to use them for, and you know you need 2 cups of strawberries, you can always put 2 cups of strawberries in a Ziploc bag, a freezer Ziploc bag, And then when you pull them out, there they are, ready to go. And it's great for smoothies or whatever you're planning. They can also be chopped up for other things too, but just keep that in mind when you're getting ready to think about what you want to do with them, because they do freeze well. So when we come back on Garden Delights, we're going to hear from Frank Hancock. He's going to talk about those strawberries, and then I'm going to be making a strawberry crumble later on. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights.
Today we're going to talk about strawberries. There's a couple of different ways that strawberries are grown here in Georgia. There's the annual row system, which you see more in Middle Georgia, South Georgia. You see that a lot on strawberry farms, on pick-your-own farms, where they're growing it in an annual row that's covered with plastic. And the strawberries are planted in October. They grow through the winter and then come into April and May. They get ripe, they get picked, and then they get plowed up and done away with. That kind of helps the big operations control diseases and that sort of thing, because they start with a fresh crop every year. What we're going to talk about for a few minutes here is a matted row system. With the matted row system, you're going to plant your strawberries about 48 inches between the rows, about a foot between each plant, and then you will let the plants grow together about 18 inches from each row. Strawberries will put out what's called daughter plants, and it'll come out on a vine, and those will root and expand what you're doing. You can also, if you're paying attention, you can place those daughter plants to fill in the blank spots as they come out, so you get a good, clean, matted row. And like I say, about 18 inches from each row, that leaves you about a foot in between where you can walk through and pick the berries, and you'll cut that out with your hoe, or you can run your tiller through there, just however you keep that cleaned up in between. So strawberries that you get, this is a pack of 25 strawberries right here. So they come in as a bare root strawberry, and if you're not ready to plant them when you get them, you can keep them in the refrigerator. So you will take your strawberry and you will plant it, trying to keep the root system as straight as you can. You don't want to just put it in the hole like this. You want it to stay straight. You want all the roots to be in the ground, and you want the dirt about halfway between there and the crown. So you don't want to cover it too deep, but you don't want to cover it so shallow that the roots are coming. So you want to be right above the root system, right in the middle before you get to the crown. So what we're going to do here, we'll dig a hole and we'll go down as deep as we can here, because we want to preserve these roots. So once we get it down where we can get our strawberry in the ground with our root system down straight like we want it to be, and then we're going to come in and it will get covered up. We're going to pack it down a little bit with our hand, and then when we get finished here, we're going to have a strawberry that is set at the right height so that it can grow and do well. Now this little garden spot here that we're planting, it's a little flat and it holds a little water, so we raised a little hill to plant them. We planted these strawberries in here last Friday, and so you can see some of them they look just like this when we planted them, so some of them have already come out. The mulch was put in here to control the moisture, try to control the weeds. A little tip on the mulch though, this mulch was dug off of a pile that's been sitting there for about a year, and if you notice, a lot of Bermuda grass has come in here with it, and this Bermuda grass, it's not dead, it's alive, and it was brought in here with the mulch. So you need to be cautious about that. When you go digging in a mulch pile that's got grass growing in it, then you're going to be bringing this over and this will challenge you in your hoe. You will have a tough time with Bermuda grass. Your hoe can handle it. The question will be whether you can handle it or not. So be careful what you bring in for mulch. This patch needs to be gone through and all that Bermuda taken out of it. So that kind of gives you an idea of what a matted row looks like, and this will all get covered with strawberries. You can refurbish them, you can cut them back in the, these are June bearing strawberries that we're planting, so after they bear we can cut them back, put some pine straw over them to get them through the winter, and you can make them last about 3 years if you maintain them and take care of them. Next, we're going to go over here and take a look at what you can do if you don't have a strawberry patch, and we'll look at planting some strawberries in the container. What we're going to do now is we're going to do a little strawberry in some containers. There's a lot of different ways to do strawberries in containers. A lot of people will plant them in the big clay pots that have got the slots in the side of them. Sometimes you have to put a PVC pipe down the middle to make the water get uniform. What we're going to do here is just a simple version of a container strawberry. We've got 3 pots here. We're going to plant strawberries in them, and we're going to stack them. You can stack them as high as you want to, depending on how many bigger pots you want to get to start from the bottom and stack them. So to begin with, we're going to take our plants and we're going to get them ready to plant. So we're going to take the label off of this pot. Generally, it will tell you to peel off about half of this cardboard. This cardboard, a lot of people think this cardboard is that the plants are going to grow right on through it, but it really kind of inhibits the roots a good bit before it rots. So I like to just get it out of the way, get my roots freed up. These roots have got to have plenty of oxygen so they can function like they're supposed to. So we're going to clean them off, try not to damage any roots as we take this cardboard off the bottom. And then I want to kind of spread my roots out a little bit. I don't want them to be all bunched up thinking it's still in a pot when we get through. And then I'm going to dip it in some water to begin with, so that now my roots are good and moist. I'm going to plant this first one right here in this pot. We've got potting soil that we've put in here. And again, we're going to come down to the same level that they are in the container. We don't want to get them in there too deep or too shallow. Might have to go a little bit deeper with that one, but that's okay. Let me get where I can open this up some. And we're going to come on in here with our root system and get our strawberry positioned in there so that we can get our soil up around it in the right place and not have it be too shallow or too deep, just like we talked about with our bare root plants. I've got some more soil right here I can put in here around it. And we're going to pack it in there good so that it's got a good firm base to grow in. We'll kind of set that one out of the way and get to our next pot here. On this next pot, we're going to go a little bit to the front. Let's try, see what I got right here. I've already peeled some of these off, if I can pick it up. And so this one we're going to again open up our root system a little bit so that it's ready to go. We're going to come into our pot with it and get it down to the right level and come on around. And I don't care if you want to throw away the rest of this cardboard that's peeling off of it, that's a good thing too. We'll just get that one set in here, and a little bit more soil to bring it up to the right level. We don't want to get up on top of the crown, just like we talked about. We'll firm it up a little bit here so that it's got a nice place for its roots to be. Then this pot is going to wind up sitting here right behind that one. So now we've got 2 strawberries going. We'll come over here to our big pot now, and we've got some more that we can get up here. I've already peeled the bottom off to loosen up my roots so that the roots can get started in here doing what they're supposed to be doing. We'll set that plant right in there, go around it the same way. We're going to pack it in, not too deep, not too shallow. We'll come over here on this pot. We'll go ahead and put another one in. And let's see what I got here to work with. This one right here. And again, I've got my roots already loosened up on this pot right here. And so we're coming in to plant it. And we can get rid of some more of this cardboard once we've held our plant together to get it in the hole. We'll get this one in, get it packed down. And then we can take this pot right here and we can come right up on top of this other one with it and get them sitting there. And these strawberries will grow. The daughter plants will cascade off of here. The strawberries will cascade down, and it will just keep on going. You can cut some of the daughter plants off later on, and you can give them to your neighbors and have strawberries all over the neighborhood. So this is one way to do a container. So when we water it, each one has kind of got its individual pot. It will drain through from this one to that one to the other one, but the pot's going to maintain its water like it normally would. It's not like having a big tunnel where you got to try to control your water flow. So that is one version of a container strawberry patch.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. We're going to be talking about strawberries, and we're going to be making a strawberry crumble. And let me just tell you what I've done so far. I have about 1.5 pounds of strawberries already chopped, and the recipe is going to tell you to chop your strawberries. And so, and it's going to tell you in quarters. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what I'm talking about. We're just going to chop it off about where the green part is of that, and then I'm just going to do it into quarters. And that's all you're going to need to do to get the strawberries the size you want. Now, to keep those strawberries though nice and fresh, I'm going to move this one around that I just cut up. You're going to need about 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and that's going to keep the strawberries wonderful looking color. So we'll just keep that in mind. I'm going to move this over to here. And then the next part you're going to do for those strawberries is we're going to mix a little bit of a all-purpose flour and a little bit of brown sugar. So this is 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour and 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. And what we're going to do is just mix this. So this is already mixed together, and all I'm going to do is sprinkle this on top of the strawberries that I already have chopped up. And we're just going to mix this part with the strawberries around. And this is just going to coat the strawberries. So we're going to do that first. And just want to get them coated. And then what you're going to do is you're going to move this part of the strawberries into an about an 8 by 8 baking dish. And you're going to need to spray it so that you can keep it from sticking at the bottom. So I already have it sprayed, so let me grab it. So I have my container already sprayed with some kind of spraying, whatever you like as far as your favorite spraying oil that you like. And then I'm just going to put the strawberries that I just coated into that container. So I'm going to move that there. And I'm just going to push them out. It's a very simple recipe, very tasty, but just a good way to do your strawberry. Some way it's a little bit different, but a little bit of crunch to it also. So I'm going to do that right now. And I'm going to grab my knife real quick and get that one strawberry off. So I have that in the middle of the baking dish. So that's an 8 by 8 and it's already been sprayed. So the next part you're going to do in another bowl, you're going to mix about, the recipe is going to tell you you need end up having about 8 tablespoons of flour. So I used 2 right here. So here is 6 right here. So I'm going to dump that into my container. And then I am going to put also, these are rolled oats, and so you're going to need about 1/3 cup of rolled oats. So we're going to put those in. And then also to get a little crunch to it even more, you're going to need some almonds. And so these are sliced almonds, and this is about 4 tablespoons of almonds. So I'm going to pour that in also. And then you're going to need some brown sugar. Now I put 1 tablespoon on here, but the recipe is going to tell you you need 3 tablespoons. So this is the other 2 of those tablespoons. See, I may need my spoon. There we go. And it's packed into your tablespoon. And then what I have here, and I'm just going to use this same spoon right here eventually. I'm going to set it right here for a second. This is going to be cinnamon. So you're going to need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to go ahead and dump that in. Now, the last part you're going to need is about 3 tablespoons of butter. And you need to keep it cold because you're going to work this butter into this part of it, the part that's going to be on the top of this strawberry, and it's going to give it the crunch that we're going to need. So let me see if I can get this into this part. There we go. And I'm going to wipe my hands off just real quick. Okay, so you have this all together. And what I'm going to use, you can use your hands, your fingers, however you want to mix it, but I'm going to take what we call a pastry. You can call it a pastry blender or a pastry cutter, but this is what I like to do. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to cut the butter into the mixture that I already have with the rolled oats, the flour, and the one thing you want to make sure is that it's cold. And every once in a while, what I do is I just take my knife and I'll knock it back off and try to split it up so I can get this moved around. And what I'm trying to do is to make the butter go into little crumbles, and that way it's going to be in the mixture. So I'm going to knock it off the side right here just a little bit, and I'm going to keep working it. And strawberries are really good about having really low in sugar. So, if you're looking for a fruit that's low in sugar, please keep that in mind when you're looking for something to eat fruit-wise, because they don't have a lot of sugar to them. So I'm just going to keep moving this around, and then we're going to end up putting this on top. And a lot of people use these pastry blenders, to mix other things like your doughs. Sometimes they're making rolls and stuff like that. So if you never use one, you ought to try it, because it does help, and it keeps your hands clean too, so you don't have to worry about getting your hands all messy. So I'm just going to keep moving it, and you can see my butter's getting to where it's sticking through, and I'm just going to keep working it off. And it does work even better if your butter is a little bit cold, because it just seems to work and it doesn't stick as bad. So just keep working it, because we want to make sure that we're getting it around the part, around this flour mixture, because I want to make sure when I put it on top that it's going to be evenly across the top of it. So I'm just going to keep working it. And I think I'm getting it to where it's getting nicer, and you can see I'm not scraping as much off. I'm just trying to keep it where I'm getting it in smaller chunks, and that's my goal. And mixing it really good. And 3 tablespoons is not that much. And just remember, once you put it on top, it's going to be spread around so you don't feel like you're eating all that, the butter. You can find other, you might want to try some margarines if you want to, that may have less calories to them. So please look for those also. All right, so I think I've got what I want. Just going to do it one more time. And then I am going to, and you can see as I do it, the butter keeps going into the flour mixture, and so it doesn't stick to it as bad. So as you can see, I've kind of worked it all in. I just want to make sure I get it all mixed around. And then you're going to take this mixture, which is going to make the crumble part of this recipe, And you're just going to put this on top of your strawberries. So I'm just going to spoon it over, and I'm going to try to do it, you know, in all areas. Try to get it all the way down through there. And you want to have your oven preheated to about 375. Now, I will say that ovens are different, so you make sure that you are checking it out, because I'm going to tell you the recipe is going to say about 30 minutes. But I will tell you, check it out before that 30 minutes just to make sure, because what you're looking for is to see the strawberries bubbling, and you're also looking to see if the top of it is getting a brown color, toasted brown color, and that's what you're looking for, so don't go too far with it. And this is going to be really tasty, and it's so easy to make. And if you could smell it, the cinnamon right now, I'm smelling it too, it smells really good. So that's all you need to do. And then, like I said, you're going to bake this around 30 minutes at 375 and check it every once in a while. And so we'll see you back in just a little bit. Welcome back to Garden Delights. We have Frank with us, and Frank, we're going to be talking about our strawberries, and we got strawberry crumble.
I'm ready for some strawberry crumble.
I figured you would be.
I've been waiting all day. I've been out there planting some strawberries, but they weren't quite ready to make crumble out of.
Uh-oh. Well, as long as you're planting some, that's all that matters.
They have to grow a little bit.
It smells pretty good. I'll make
It
sure I
does
get
smell good.
a little bit of that crumble myself.
They won't be able to smell this on TV.
I know it. But can you smell the cinnamon
Good.
to it a little bit?
Tastes like a lot like strawberry crumble.
It really does, doesn't it? The strawberries are very tender, and the crumble just kind of adds to it.
Yeah, the strawberries would be good.
That's good. Very good.
I agree.
So, I'm glad you like it.
I do like it.
Good, that's good. Check out the website, and you can check out our wonderful recipe we have today for you. And Frank and I will see you next time on Garden Delights.
What are we cooking next time?
It'll always be a surprise.
Okay. All right.